Hey everyone, it's Jeff Fisher of High School Football America in the NFL Play Football studio, and we're heading to Southern California. Jason Negro, good friend of High School Football America since we were out there in 2012. He and I have remained close throughout, and we've got him here right now to talk about what is surprise, surprise, the Braves are going to play a tough national schedule. Jason, thanks for taking the time.
Hey, good afternoon, Jeff. It's great to catch up with you once again. And thank you for, as you said, our continued relationship. Always a pleasure to be on your show. And hopefully we can provide a little bit of content, for your listeners and continue to progress this whole high school football America, St. John Bosco relationship. So
Yeah,
thank you
no,
very
I,
much for me. I appreciate it.
I love it. It's hard to believe that it's been coming up on 14 years since I met you, but I
Yeah.
guess we're both getting old. But I'd be remiss before I dive into 26 without talking about a nice little it was on X, it was on your Instagram account, Super Bowl. You got a young man there coming back to celebrate with you guys. Talk a little bit about George Alani coming back and celebrating the Seahawks big win.
Yeah, this is we've been pretty fortunate here at St. John Bosco over the last couple of years. He's the third, member of, the program here at St. John Bosco that under my, leadership that's won a Super Bowl. Bryce Treggs won one with the Eagles back in the day, and Trent McDuffie's won two with the Kansas City Chiefs, played in three of them in a row. And then this past year, George Kalani is the running back behind Kenneth Walker, helped the Seattle Seahawks win a Super Bowl just a couple weeks ago. And I think the most rewarding thing for me as a coach and as an educator is when your young men come back to school to present you with what I call the gift, not to me, but to our program for all of the hard work and the dedication that the staff and everybody put in here to help him along his journey to get him where he wants to go. And I think that's probably the most rewarding, for me and for George to leave Bosco, go to Boise State, have a phenomenal career there. And he held off Ashton Genty for a few years, and then got set up there with the Seahawks and has had a phenomenal career for the last 3 years there. I just could not be more proud of him and his accomplishments. And he's a phenomenal human being. And for him to come back means a lot to me and our program as a whole.
Yeah, and I see those pictures all the time. I know you have a culture there. That's a word that's tossed around a lot these days. I think it started with the Saban era and all that. But what does culture mean to you and your staff and the school with what you attempt to do there to have the enormous amount of success that you've had over the last 13, 14, 15 years?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think especially if you take a look at what the coach over at Indiana was able to do this year, Signetti, and he talked a lot about the people that are inside the building, and as Coach Saban has talked about, getting the right people on the bus is certainly important in terms of developing that culture. And we're pretty fortunate here at Bosco with the Brotherhood being an all males school. With a religious background, being a Catholic high school here, gives us a lot of opportunity and flexibility within the community and within the building that we have here to build that culture that we want. And we've set a standard. We want people to understand what it's like to be a Bosco Brave. It's a lot more than just what you do on the football field. It's what you do in the classroom and in the community and how you uphold your character and your morality and things like that. So it's really important that you have the right people all pulling in the same direction and kind of educating the kids the same way. And when your kids come back into the school from being, removed, 4, 5, 6, or maybe even 7 years, and they're still kind of drawing upon the experiences that they had when they were with you as to why they're being successful really kind of hits home. And we're going to continue to do that. And we're going to use them, our former athletes, for the current ones on, kind of setting the standard and what they want to become. So I'm just really proud of that. I know it is a word that's thrown around a lot, but you wouldn't be able to be in a situation like I have been going into my 17th year here at Bosco if you didn't have a strong culture and a fantastic standard that which you have set that people are trying to, set themselves up with.
Yeah, and folks, I will get to the schedule in a second here, but much like well, I think you just surpassed Bruce Rollinson, your former nemesis, and of course, good friend at modern day for the most times on High School Football America. You're the number one coach now as far as
Right.
interviews with me. But I
Thank
always
you.
used to try and find one thing because we talk so much and interview so much, something a little bit different. And this came to my mind, especially when you just said 17 years and all that. You're an alum there. No surprise, right? You guys were not a football power, right? That was something that you and your staff have built there. What's the thing that makes you smile the most about being an alum, having all the success you've had, but more importantly, getting it done classroom, after, St. John Bosco, like when the kids leave on the field and all that? Is there one thing that's maybe even outside of football that makes you smile more than the wins and losses?
I think the joy and the opportunities that we're providing all of the people that are a part of our community that goes beyond just the football field or the football walls within our program. I think that's what brings me the most joy and the most excitement because as a fan, of the school and a fan of Salesian education and what we're doing here at St. John Bosco, I think the most important thing is as an educator or a mentor of young people, you're there to provide opportunities and you're there to provide memories and just situations to where people can use the platform that you have to get to where they want to go. And I think the biggest thing that I'm most proud of is what we've been able to provide to all of the people that are surrounding our program here and the community that we have and the consistent amount of success which we have had. That's hard to do, especially being a part of the Trinity League, being a part of this, nationally ranked program that goes out there and is not afraid to go compete against some of the best teams in the country. To be able to do it on a yearly basis and continue to maintain the same vision, the same set of morals, and the same set of philosophical beliefs that we have in terms of educating young men has been the standard, and we've been able to maintain that through all these navigating years. I mean, when I took over the program, there wasn't Twitter, there wasn't Instagram, there was no TikTok, there was no NIL, there was no transfer portal. Now we've had to evolve through the years, and our program has kept a relatively pretty stable level of success throughout that time. And we're not a roller coaster program. We've been one on a consistent rise. And I think that's what's ultimately what I'm most proud of. And I'm going to continue to embrace that because I think you still think our best days are ahead of us.
Yeah, I have no doubt. And the culture you've built, back to that word, will last a long time. You also made me think when I started, let's see, in 1974, there definitely was no internet. I'm trying to, there were no
It wasn't
iPhones.
even
I know
cell phone.
that.
Right, right.
I'm old, but anyway. All right, let's dig into it. You mentioned the fact that you've been in the national championship hunt. You make no bones about it. You want to win a Trinity League. You want to win that great section you have down there in the southern section, state title, and then hopefully a national championship. And what you need to do that is to have a schedule every year. I mean, the Trinity League's there, but those 5 games leading up to that, you don't duck anybody. And this year, you're not ducking right from the start. Once again, you're going to play Bishop Gorman out of Nevada, and that should be a dandy way to get the season off. Give me a little overview, like when you put this schedule together, what were you thinking? Then we'll dive into some of the opponents.
Well, I mean, I think, like you said, if you want to have your name mentioned in that whole mythical national championship conversation, then I think you have to be able to be willing to go out and play the people that are going to give you the opportunity to build a resume that's going to be able to kind of warrant that discussion. I mean, I think that's what we've been able to do in the past. The Trinity League, like you said, kind of puts the back end of the schedule in place that will allow you to be a part of the conversation. But on the front end of the schedule, you need to go out there and try to, test your skill set against some of the best in the country. And then if you're able to have success against these teams from the different regions of the country, then you could stake your claim. And you have to have a lot of luck. And again, this thing is all mythical. We all know that. But at the end of the day, if you take a look at those regions, and Bishop Gorman is certainly one of the biggest litmus tests across the country because they do such a phenomenal job. And Coach Browner is one of the best in the country when it comes to it. If you can, knock those guys off, or you go down into South Florida like we have over the last 3 years, and we've been 3-0 in those games down there. You get to play some of the teams from the Northeast, like DeMatha or Good Counsel. We played those teams, Don Bosco Prep in Jersey. We played St. Francis for a number of years, and we win those football games. And then you follow that up on the back end of your schedule. It's going to give you an opportunity to at least throw your hat in the ring. And that's what we're going to continue to do here at Bosco. And that's the reason why kids come to our school, is they want to compete at a high level against some of these nationally ranked individuals and these players that are being a part of these teams. And at the end of the day, if you can go out there and win enough of them and put a good resume together, you have a shot, at hoisting a banner and sizing up rings. And that's what we're going to continue to try to do.
Yep, that's simply said. And by the way, kudos to you. Being the Georgia guy that I am, I'm still getting a little grief that St. Thomas Aquinas won our national championship and Buford didn't last year. And one of the reasons is the fact that they didn't go out of state. And they're Aquinas and like you do. And here's my question about Gorman. We know they're going to be good. One of the beauties of high school football is it changes, right? Every year, no doubt about that. And there are coaches that don't want to have that first tough game because of the uncertainty, from graduation and all that. You have never ducked anybody in that opening game. What are some of the things that you focus on when you go into a big game like that, knowing that the team that you have, even if you got some guys coming back, is definitely different than the year before?
Tremendous challenge if you really look at it, to have to go out there and play some games like that. It's hard. And I think 3 of the last 4 years we've going to go play Bishop Gorman, as you talked about, and then which is certainly a nationally top ranked team, and then we had to play Thomas Aquinas back in 2023, I believe it was. So you look at those games and you could go out there, and if you're successful enough, you can beat them. But it's a big risk. But, when you're at a program like ours, no one's going to feel sorry for us when you have to play these games or schedule them. They're going to say, well, that's what you should do when you have the type of talent, or you recruit, or you cheat, or whatever they want to say, about a program like ours. But that's not how we look at it. What we look at it as an opportunity for our kids to test their skill set against some of the best in the country. And that's what they ask for. That's what the kids want. If you have an elite mindset and you have that type of, mental outlook about your performance, and you want to be able to play at the collegiate level and have an opportunity to get an SEC or a Big Ten offer, then you better go prove your abilities against some of these great teams across the country. And that's what my job is to do as an educator, is to put these kids out there in front of it and let them go out there and compete. And if you were inside our building and you were to listen and talk to some of the kids, man, they want to go 5 for 5. They want to play the Bufords, the Thomas Aquinas. And me as a coach, it provides a lot of it, anxiety, because I'm like, wait, guys, we cannot physically do that. Even Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, they're not doing that from a week. They have a bye week here and there. Well, unfortunately, at Bosco, we don't have a bye week. We go with these 5 weeks, and then we got to go into the Trinity League. And then, 3 out of the last 4 years in the playoffs, we've gone Olu, Margarita, Mater Dei in a row and played 8 straight Trinity League games because we have to play them in the playoffs. So, and it's certainly not easy, but our kids are kind of built for this. This is what they want to do. And as a coaching staff, they kind of curse at me when they see the schedule pop out, because they know their work is going to be exponentially more difficult. But no one's going to feel sorry for us, Jeff. We just got to go out there and play the teams in front of us and compete to the best of our abilities.
And I love our algorithm for, taking that quality schedule and making sure it stands up there. I'll argue with anybody, or, well, I don't really argue with people. I'm just like, the computer said this. But yeah, I mean, it's been a known fact now that you can be a high school football American national champ with 1 loss on the resume if you're playing the proper people. So I applaud you for that. So you open against Gorman on the road, and then, as this Pennsylvania guy, I got to talk a little bit about this one. It's a program that's really been built. Roman Catholic out of Philadelphia. They were number 39, 5A champ in Pennsylvania last year. You get them at home. I just love East versus West. Talk about how that one came together.
Coach reached out to me, which I always, find really interesting. And I know that they feel confident. They got a really good squad coming back, and they're coming off a 5A state championship, season from out there. And he wants to hopefully build his program to what we've been able to, build our program here. I know Coach, Masai at St. Francis Academy, he always talks about the reason why he wants to play the Boscos and the Mater Deis, and stuff like that, is because he wants to elevate their profile. And I think Coach Preet over there at Roman Catholic wants to do that very same thing. And you got to give him a lot of credit for him to come out here to the West Coast and take his team 3,000 miles across the country to play, a top ranked team in their home stadium is not easy to do, but I give them a lot of credit. And it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us. We don't know a whole lot about them. I haven't even been able to take a look at some film. We haven't even discussed that exchange yet and what that's going to look like. But again, I'm super excited about the opportunity. And we haven't played a team from the Philly area, and this is going to be the first time. And we're always trying to expand the number of states that we've competed against.
Well, as I tell everybody, a couple of years ago when I was out there, I remember bringing out some Jersey teams. The thing about Pennsylvania, we may not know how to throw the ball yet. We're still kind of 30 yards in a cloud of dust, but we do know how to punch you in the mouth, pick you up, punch you in the mouth cleanly, and keep doing it. And hopefully at the end, the better team wins. The other three non-league games. So you've got two Hawaii opponents, good ones in Kahuku, St. Louis, and then a good Northern California team that year in and year out is in our top 300 in Pittsburgh. Talk a little bit about those three opponents.
Yeah, well, the Pittsburgh game, that's another one. It's a public school from up in the northern section, and theoretically, they're having a battle against Sarah San Mateo as well as De La Salle every year, and it's a challenge, much like what Corona Centennial is able to do down here, kind of with the power private schools. They're able to do up there, up at Pittsburgh. They got a great environment. They played us back in 2024. And then he asked me, he says, look, coach, I don't know if we'll have a team that's going to be able to compete with you in 25, but would you be willing to, as a part of the 2-year deal, to come up in 26? And anytime a coach is willing to play us and to compete, I'm going to try to accommodate them the best we can. And he's got a better team, he thinks, in 2026. And that's the reason why we're going to go up there. They got an amazing environment, very small town feel to it. So that's going to be exciting. And then the other two Hawaii teams, man, they're as good as they come. And I don't think people give a lot of credit to Hawaii football. But what they do at St. Louis, I mean, they had Tua Tagovailoa was a quarterback there. Marcus Mariota is a Heisman Trophy winner, came out of St. Louis. They're certainly a quality football program. They're always competitive. Back in the 80s and 90s, maybe one of the best teams in the country year in and year out. And to go to Hawaii, it's always a challenge for us. And then Kahuku's been in the top 20, top 30 in the country over the last couple of years, multiple state titles. They do a phenomenal job, there on the North Shore of Hawaii, but they're coming out here to play us. And when that happens, the whole Polynesian culture, comes out here to come support. And the game is just massive. And it's a really cool environment here at Panish Family Stadium that we're looking forward to. And we got a little bit of a sour taste in our mouth because the last time we played these guys, which is in Hawaii, not an easy thing to do. But we had to go out there and play on the North Shore, and they beat us in a very tight, close ball game late in the fourth quarter. And hopefully we'll be able to get back this year.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. Then you go into the meat grinder, and this one is a tongue in cheek. I love all you Trinity League guys, all 6 in the top 300 the last 3, 4, 5 years. Then you go into the league. Now, I was looking at your coaching staff there. It seems like you're not part of the NFL thing yet, are you? You don't have like 28 NFL coaches. I'm just teasing.
When I look at this thing and I'm like, man, look at all the coaches in terms of the league and their accomplishments, and you're like, which one of these guys don't belong? And it's kind of like me. I barely played in high school. I wasn't a very talented player. I didn't play college football. So when you look at it, it's like, what is this guy doing, coaching in a program like this? But I think that's a testament to how, quality, the coaching is in our league, that you could come out here and you can learn enough and go out there and try to pick the brain of really talented people. You could come back into your own building and your own program and compete against some of the best. And it shows you how far the league has evolved since, like what you said, when we first met back in 2012. This league has evolved to where now we have NFL people that are trying to get into the league to be a part of it because they know that, the national brand, and they know the kind of cachet that the league carries with it. And it's really cool for me. So the more NFL coaches that they can bring into the league, heighten the profile, make it that much bigger, certainly plays well for us because it's going to continue to attract the kids that want to be a part of this program, be a part of this environment. And what Carson was able to do at Margarita, Hardy Nickerson now, at J. Sarah, who knows what's going to happen, at Olu over the next couple of days in terms of them finding a new coach.
I'm hearing big rumors.
I know, dude. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. And at the end of the day, look, I got to focus my attention on what we're doing here at St. John Bosco and continue to do and to do what we're doing. But what I'm most proud of is I've been here going on now 17 years, and the next closest tenured coach is sitting at 2. So we're doing something right, and I want to continue to do that and can continue to champion for my program and not necessarily worry about what they've got going on over there.
You're the gray beard, and we mentioned Rollo earlier. You've become Bruce Rollins in a matter of 3 or 4 years.
I
It's
know it's crazy, and we're going to catch up. Bruce and I and actually are going to lunch next Wednesday. Don't tell people, but we're going to go to lunch. We that's something that we've done for years now, and we remain close friends. And he's certainly an advocate, that I use, in terms of just trying to become the better coach that I'm trying to be, because he was kind of the barometer. He set the bar, on the high school coaching here in California. I think he's got 300 and something wins. And hopefully someday I'll be able to, coach long enough to where I could catch him up to him. But he's still the gold standard when it comes. And Bruce is a tremendous coach, and he's a tremendous friend of mine. And,
yes.
I can't wait to see him next week.
He's such a great guy. I guess it's probably blasphemy, but hey, with all these NFL coaches coming in, maybe you just need to take, the guru from and bring him into the Brave. I don't know. I don't know if Bruce could do that.
No, I think our friendship only goes so far. He's not going to, let go of the red and white to come and join the Navy and white. His friendship only, lasts so far. I wouldn't
Yeah.
expect him to be on a Brave sideline anytime soon.
It's kind of like a keeping up with the Joneses question. Yes, it's good for the league to have all this talent coming in on the coaching staff and all that. But what kind of pressure does that put on your program to, again, maybe using that term, keep up with the Joneses type of thing? Good thing, bad thing, maybe not even a thing.
You know what? I'll tell you what. When I took over back in 2010, the Trinity League was probably still one of the top leagues around locally. But I think since I've been here, we played our first, national game. We went out to Utah to play their top ranked team in 2012, and then it only started to escalate. And the reason why it continued to explode is because, Bruce, I think about in 2015 or 16, decided to kind of join us and go out there and start, competing to get some national teams. And then now you look at the league, everybody's playing somebody across the country. And when you can go out there and you can beat those people, now you can stake claim, to that top team in the country. And, are you the SEC or the Big Ten of high school football, the Trinity League, which we want to kind of boast. And we want to take a lot of pride in that. But you have to have a running mate, and you have to have people that are going to elevate your overall profile of your league in order to be able to do that. And that's what's happening. I mean, hiring Carson Palmer, hiring Hardy Nickerson, Rick Garrison's coming into Servite, and he had a ton of success out there in Arizona, multiple state championships out there at Chandler. And now for him to join us and be a part of this at Servite, it's only going to elevate the profile of the league, which is going to create a lot more buzz and a lot more attention on what we're doing over here in Southern California. And that's something you have to embrace. And if you don't want to do it or you can't do it, you better get out, because it's not going anywhere. And it only continues to stack upon itself, year in and year out.
Get out or you'll be gotten out, I guess might be one way to look
Seriously.
at it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
again, you're the gray beard. There's no doubt about that.
I always panic when there's a knock at the door. He's come to see me.
There's no way to handicap the league at this point, but what I would say is, in your assessment, because of all these things, right? Santa Margarita has had its run through the years, but look at what Carson's done there already. Jay Sarah's had its down years, but now it'll be interesting with Nickerson and all that. So, top to bottom, could 2026 be, in your estimation, the best year ever in Trinity League play?
It's really interesting you say that, because we as a staff, I've had a consistent staff for all these years. We talk about that all the time. And it seems to be kind of the trend of moving forward. It's like last year in 25, we said, man, this might be the best this league's been since probably 2010, 2011, when Servite had a really good run there, when Troy Thomas was there and they won back-to-back league titles. And then we went on a big long stretch, and then we flip-flopped with Mater Dei for a bunch of years. And then last year in 2025, we had a three-way tie for first in the league. Us, Santa Margarita, and Mater Dei all stuck claim to the Trinity League championship, which, is obviously not an easy thing to do. Now, fast forward, you go into the 26th season, and we're here again having that conversation. Could this be the best that the league has ever been from top to bottom? And I have to say, it might be. I mean, as a staff, if you take a look at all the coaches, it might be the most talented group of guys. But then again, when I took over back in 2010, the staffs in that league were incredible. So I don't know. I mean, that's yet to be determined. You're going to have to go out there, and compete against some of the best around the country. And if we can win enough games, before we get to the portion of the schedule where we kind of beat each other up, then we're going to stake claim to that. But right now, it's certainly trending that way. I can tell you that.
And aside from mentioning Rollo, to this point, we haven't mentioned your arch nemesis, or at least over the last 12,
Right.
13, 14 years and all that. As we wrap up with two more questions here, the modern day game for the second year in a row is played at the end of the season. Do you like it there? Because again, we know that it's usually part one and part two with you guys, which puts you real close together when it comes playoff time. Do you like the positioning of that game right now?
Um, I no, I would rather rotate. I mean that. I mean, I guess I don't. That's a hard
Yeah.
question to answer. To be honest with you, if you play them at the front end of the league, you have a bye week going into it. But I don't know if that's really had a positive or negative effect on us going into games. Some years we played really well after the bye, some years not. Having them in the middle of the league schedule, we've had that. Typically, it rotates.
Right.
Ironically, what happened is this was the year that it rotated, but when they drew the lottery out of the hat, this is the way that it landed. It was the same exact order, just flip the locations. So next year they'll rotate to the top of the schedule. That's how it works here in the Trinity League. But again, I don't think I really care where they're at. Last year they were into the schedule, but neither one of us held up the end of the bargain to get to each other at the end of the season. So hopefully that trend doesn't continue. I would like to be able to flip the script a little bit on that, but nevertheless, Coach Raul Lara does a phenomenal job over there. And again, he's one of the top coaches in the country. He is year in and year out, whether he was at Mater Dei or during his years at Long Beach Poly. It just continues to elevate. Like I said, the profile of the league gets better, from the student athletes to the coaching staffs to all of the, support staffs that we have, the administrations. Everything that we're doing here is trying to become the best that we can possibly be. And I don't see that train stopping anytime soon.
And last question will be a quick snapshot for the fans around the country. What will the Braves look like in 26? I know you've got some people coming back. You were pretty young last year, so what's this version look like?
You know what? If we can continue to do the things that we have done, through this first 2 months of the off season, I'm super encouraged about this football team. More so than just the talent. I mean, I think they're coming together really in a positive way. We've built a pretty good team rapport. I think the chemistry inside the locker room is really strong at this point, and we're highly talented. We got a lot of skill players. We are going to continue to be a young football team, which I'm okay with, but we got a lot of balance there. And where we have some older guys, some experience, some veterans are going to mix well. I think with the young guys, we got a 3-year starting quarterback coming back, and he's only going to be a junior, so that's kind of rare to say
Hmm.
in a school like ours. But we got a lot of talent around him, and I think we're really good up front on both sides of the ball. And I think at the end of the day, if you want to be good, any level of football, all the way from youth football through the NFL, if you're not good up front on both sides of the ball, you're going to struggle. And I think that's where some of our strengths, are our offense and defensive lines, the front seven defensively, the offensive line, and add in the tight end position and in the running back spot. I think we're going to be really talented in those areas, and at least it's going to give us a shot. Now, it's a long time between now and December. There's a lot can happen. We have to stay relatively healthy. We're not a super deep football team, but then again, who is across the country nowadays? So,
Yep.
we're going to continue to take it, week by week approach and divide the season up into a bunch of phases. But right now, I think that we're winning the off season. We're going to get into the spring phase and then see what happens from there on out. And I could not be more proud of what we've done and the progression that we've had as a coaching staff, as well as a bunch of individuals and players, and trying to develop that team chemistry. That's going to be important for us to be able to navigate this challenging schedule.
Well, it's been fun to watch. 2012 was when Trish and I moved to Southern California, so I'm taking partial credit for all the Brave success. I know you like knowing how you do in the national rankings. It doesn't, you don't get all upset if you're not in a certain place like some people get. But anyway, I was just going to read this to you. Since we put our algorithm in effect, you've won two national titles, 19 and 22. We've got, let's see, I'm just going to go back. Last year, 14, that's the lowest in a long time because Before that, 24 was number 5, 23 number 3, national championship in 22, 21, 8. Number 30, that was COVID year in 20, so that doesn't really count. National title in 19, 18 number 3, 13 and 17, 2 in 2016, 8 in 2015, 15 in 2014, and number 2 in 13. Ain't bad. What do you
That's
think when you hear all that success?
I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the people that I have around me, the support staff, my coaching staff, the players, the families, the community, all the alumni. It's not me. I'm just a byproduct of all the success. I'm kind of the one that's navigating all of this, putting all the pieces in place. But again, I think it's about the human capital that you have in your program, and if you invest in that and you allow good people to go out and do their jobs, you're going to be able to reach a lot of success. And all I do is I present a vision, and we got to go out there and execute a plan. And that's what we've been able to do. And like I said, the scary thing is I think our best days are still ahead of us. If we can continue to trend in the direction that I think this program can trend in, I got a lot of support from the administration and what they're trying to, do for us and to help us out and what we need to try to do to build, a successful collegiate level program. And we're going to continue to do that. And I'm humbled by it because never in a million years when I took over in 2010 did I think that we would accomplish this much over the last 16 years going into year 17. Like you said, it's pretty phenomenal. And I'm blessed to be a part of this. And I'm just super, super thankful.
You're
And
the
I appreciate
only school in the nation since we started the algorithm in 13. 12 was an opinion poll. You missed out on that, so I guess my opinion on you wasn't that good. But anyway, you're the only team in the nation to be in every year since we started the algorithm. That's
that's
anybody in
insane.
the nation. That's a pretty big country, so that's pretty cool. Jason, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate the friendship. We appreciate watching a great program being built the right way, and nothing but success in 2026.
Appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you very much for providing this platform and all you do, with the NFL and how it trickulates down to the high school level. We really appreciate it. Make sure you tell Trish I said hello, and we'll talk to you soon. As always, go Braves.